Welcome to Mobile Home Friend YouTube channel, your go-to resource for everything manufactured housing.
Welcome to another deep dive from Mobile Home Friend. Today we're looking at one of the biggest challenges for any mobile homeowner, permanently fixing roof leaks. We're basing this on our latest research and field tests over at mobilehomefriend.com.
I'm Host A.
And I'm Host B, and we're here to walk you through the pro's guide. Our founder, Chuck O'Dell, really just hit the nail on the head with this one. I mean, water is, without a doubt, the #1 enemy of a mobile home. It absolutely is. And, the roof is the front line of that entire battle. How you deal with a leak? Well, that's often the difference between having a solid, sound home and just a costly, frustrating money pit. So let's just get right into the thick of it, because before we can even talk about the right way to fix a roof, we really have to understand why so many of the common repairs out there are basically doomed from the start. Exactly. Almost every single failed repair we see, and trust me, we see a lot, it all comes down to one single fundamental misunderstanding of what a mobile home actually is. And this, right here, this is the crucial point. A traditional, site-built house is static. It's a rigid structure, rooted to a deep foundation. But a mobile home, it's a dynamic structure. It's literally engineered to move. Yeah, think of it like a skyscraper versus a car. The skyscraper is built to be rigid, but a car is built to flex and handle the road. A mobile home is that car. It expands in the sun, it contracts in the cold, it even sways a little in the wind. And that right there is why that bucket of tar or roof cement you buy at the hardware store always fails. It's rigid, and it just cracks under all that constant movement. So to have any chance of success, the materials you use have to have something called high elongation. We're talking about professional-grade materials that can stretch up to 400% and snap right back into place. It's actually hard to even picture that. Imagine taking a 1-foot piece of this material and stretching it out to 5 feet long before it even thinks about tearing. It absolutely has to be able to move with the home, not fight against it. Okay, now that we understand that core concept of movement, let's talk about how you diagnose the problem like a pro. And this is where it gets interesting. We get into a little bit of forensics. It's all about finding the clues. Because with a mobile home, the real problem often isn't right where you see the drip. This is actually fascinating. A lot of older mobile homes use this bowstring truss design. Now, it's a really efficient system, but what it does is create a very low slope, almost flat roof. Water doesn't run off quickly, it just kind of sits there. And that's where this thing called hygroscopic loading comes in. It's a technical term, but all it really means is that your insulation starts acting like a giant sponge, pulling moisture right out of the air, especially when water's just lingering on the roof above. You can end up with a damp, failing ceiling with literally 0 holes in your roof. Which leads us to the most critical question you have to ask yourself. That metal roof is a perfect thermal bridge. So in the winter, the warm, moist air from inside your home rises up and hits that freezing cold metal roof deck. And bam, it instantly condenses into water. We have seen ceiling cavities with a shocking amount of condensation. We're talking enough to cause serious staining and damage that looked exactly like a massive roof leak. But the roof itself, it was totally sealed. If you get this diagnosis wrong, your repair will be a complete and total waste of time and money. So, the pros use these forensic methods to tell the difference. They'll do what's called a sway test to listen for the metal roof skin popping, which tells you it's detached. They'll use pressure test to find these tiny cracks you just can't see with the naked eye. And the ultimate tool, really, is a flare thermal camera, which literally makes hidden moisture glow on a screen. Now, these are pro-level techniques, and if you want the full technical breakdown on how to perform them safely, that's all in our detailed article on mobilehomefriend.com. Okay, so once you have a solid diagnosis, the solution requires a major shift in how you think. You have to stop thinking like a homeowner with a caulk gun, and you have to start thinking like an industrial chemist. You need materials specifically designed for this job, not just generic, off-the-shelf stuff. We're talking about a complete system. This slide gives you a quick look at the main professional membrane options. They all have their place. EPDM rubber roofing, for instance, is incredibly durable against the sun, while TPO is fantastic for reflecting heat. But they have weaknesses for sure. For example, that EPDM is great in the hot Arizona sun, but if you go and try to patch it with a petroleum-based roof cement, it will literally swell up and dissolve. You have to know what you're working with. Now, here's one of the simplest yet most absolutely critical material choices you are going to make. That putty tape that comes standard on a lot of vents and seams, it's clay-based, and within just a few years, it becomes totally brittle. It shrinks, it cracks, it pulls away from the seam. It's basically just inviting a leak. Butyl tape, on the other hand, is a synthetic rubber that stays soft and pliable for decades. It forms a true gasket that moves with the home. It is, without a doubt, the only choice for a pro. The same exact logic applies to your roof coatings. A lot of those cheap elastomeric coatings are up to 50% water or solvents. Well, that stuff all just evaporates, leaving behind a layer that's half as thick as what you actually applied. Which is why we only use 100% high-solid silicone. What you put down is what you get. A 20 mil layer cures into a tough, seamless 20 mil membrane. And here's a fun fact for you. It's moisture cured, which means high humidity and even a little bit of rain actually help it cure properly. All right, so we get the physics, we know the right materials to use. Let's put it all together. This right here is a step-by-step guide that turns all this theory into a practical, no-fail action plan. And listen, the order of operations here is everything. You absolutely cannot skip a step. These are the absolute, non-negotiable, critical steps. You must start with a level home, or the physics of all that movement will just tear your new seals apart. Then comes a deep, thorough cleaning. I mean, the new coating needs a perfectly clean surface to bond to, and that screw at it is so crucial. Over time, those screws back out. Resecuring that metal skin is non-negotiable. After that, you build your butyl barrier on every single seam, and only then do you apply the final silicone system. We've got a printable version of this checklist on the Mobile Home Friend website that you can take with you right on the job. This really is the core message of this entire explainer. You aren't just going up there and slapping a patch on a leak. That really brings it all together, doesn't it? As we've seen, it's about understanding the home's constant movement, correctly diagnosing the source of the water, and then using a combination of materials that are designed to work together as a complete, flexible system. So that leaves one last question for you. What will your next repair be? Yeah, it's the difference between doing the job once and doing it over and over and over again. Choose the system. Thanks for watching. For more guides and the full article on this topic, head over to mobilehomefriend.com. Don't forget to check the links in the description below.
Thanks for watching. For more technical guides on this topic, click the link to see the in-depth article over at mobilehomefriend.com. There are many more informational dives into manufactured home topics to investigate and keep your project moving forward.